2 months now, and this is my first contract with the Royal Caribbean as well.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm in the cast of Grease and Columbus. You'll be seeing, hopefully, you watching Columbus tonight?
Oh yeah.
Cool beans, or tomorrow if you are. And if you've already seen Grease, I play Vince Fontaine and Teen Angel. So I was coming down from the ceiling, just up there, the big silver angel. Today I'll be in this, wearing a very fetching pair of orange tights and a bob wig. So look forward to that, ladies. And I've been here since October last year. I don't know how many months that is because time has stopped. And I'm here until July. So we have a 9-month contract. I'll be here until July and then scooting home after the United Kingdom. And yes, this is my first time working as a cast member for Royal, although I have worked for them a number of times in their theatres as a headliner. So.
Is anyone any sort of questions before we start? Or?
Feel free as we go around the stage to kind of pop us questions if something pops into your head specifically about the theatre or the actors or the shows that you've seen or you're going to be seeing. Obviously, you know, some of them are going to prompt some other bigger questions like, what is a massive 5-ton ship doing on the stage? Well, you'll find that out later. This is, but P.S. This is, if you haven't seen Columbus before, this is a big spoiler because you don't see the ship until a good
15 minutes in.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
And then, whew, really reveal. So yes, it is the biggest set piece in the world on a stage at sea.
So this is the Royal Theatre. We've got about 1,400 seats, which is a lot bigger than some Broadway houses. The Symphony of the Seas is slightly bigger by, how many seats? Like 7 seats bigger. Just so
They have to do
Yeah. The ship itself is only like 2 meters.
Yeah, it's
big.
like we can fit
ridiculous.
7 more seats in here. So, however, our stage is still the biggest at sea. So
Yeah.
very simply. And we have a pit on stage that goes down 8 foot and comes up about 5 foot. So if you've seen Grease, the bit in Beauty School Dropout where Friendship comes up, that's all to do with that.
That's it today, no?
Was it today? Wasn't spoiling.
I won't tell them when that happens again.
No spoiling. We also have some more stage lifts at the back, which come up to about 5 foot as well, which we use for our bands when we have headliners to put the band on at the back.
You can see also at the moment, because a lot of people don't realise we've got a live band for Grease, and you can see now that the back is out. You can see that's where they play. That's the bandstand at the back during Grease, and obviously there's live cameras on them. But a lot of people don't realise that until the very end of the show, and then you see the footage of them playing. Oh, it's a live band. It's a shame.
Is there anyone else got anything we can bring on stage? Unless anyone's got any questions for us now?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Come on upstage.
Please get up.
Stand out to the side here.
Obviously, it goes without saying, as you're walking around the stage, there's going to be lots of loose pieces of set and props. Please don't move them or pick them up and dump them around because we can't find them during the show then.
Посмотрим, что он покажет.
Yes.
How long do you rehearse before you come on stage?
It depends. Per ship and per show, it depends. Obviously, our rehearsal time differs from the Icecast, differs from the Aquacast. But personally, the Broadway shows for this ship, it's the same with the Symphony. We have 2 months rehearsal in Miami, so at a special rehearsal studios in Miami in Bay Vista on their Florida University campus. They've got special buildings and really, really nice facilities. So we rehearse Columbus for a month and we rehearse Grease for a month. And then we get on the ship. In fact, right at this very moment, the new cast are doing exactly that. And then we get on the ship for a month, and you have 2 weeks install for both shows. Because as you can imagine, they don't have this set in the rehearsal studios. They have it mapped out. So you have the numbers, 0, 2, 4, 6, all of that. And they have the actual dimensions of the stage mapped out within the rehearsal studio, and there's a big bit in the middle of the stage that's mapped out saying ship. And basically you do that with like boxes and things like taped together, and you say, so this is the mast, and it's all, you know, make believe. Of course, when you get on the ship, and you've got this 5-ton self-rotating, it's got its own turntable and it turns on its own axis, then you have to do a whole other set of rehearsals because it's a whole different kettle of fish, dancing, moving and singing while that thing is moving underneath you. So that's a whole different kettle of fish. So 2 weeks install and for this and 2 weeks for Greece, and then
Now, will you get another? Will you sign up again for a future contract for this show?
I mean, obviously that depends on whether they think you've done a good job, whether you've enjoyed the contract, and whether there is space for you in a future cast / another show on a different ship, which you then apply for as we would apply for this and then audition for it. Of course, if they like you and they've had you before and you've done a good job, then hopefully they'll say, yeah, come back and do the show.
What are all these marks? Yellow and...
So most of these are for our set pieces for a combination of Greece and Columbus, just so we know where to put everything, basically.
Okay.
So it's always in exactly the same place.
Okay.
So you can see some of them are marked.
Okay, I see that.
Bedroom. So that's for Greece.
Right.
These ones, lockers. These lockers are the locker points for magic changes.
Where they set them?
Where they set
They
them.
move throughout the song, so the lockers have got
Take it to the colors.
We know what they all mean.
Yeah.
That's all that
Где
matters.
стоять,
I mean,
где что
obviously,
будет.
for our heads, when we get it to a certain place, we look for a certain mark. Like tonight, there's a chambers. These are for Columbus tonight. And certain things that you have to put on certain marks and stop and then lock them, so they don't move again.
Okay.
So leading on to the ship, as Will said, she is fully automated. She rotates a full 360 degrees. She can track up and down the stage on her own. She has her own Wi-Fi, which is how she's controlled. The bow comes all the way down, so that if she's facing forward, you can still see everything that goes onto the ship.
It lowers.
Yeah, it lowers all the way to the ground.
Pneumatically, yeah.
All the masts fold down so you can store her away nicely. And this little bit at the front sort of flips up, so she's like a little hot dog. And then we just push her right towards where, when we store her, she goes right in the back there. And it takes a minimum of six of us to push her. She does weigh 5 tons. Biggest prop at sea in any show. And it normally takes us sort of a good half hour to
I'm just going to
push
ask
it
how
to the back.
long.
Well, to do
get set up.
Columbus yesterday took us an hour.
Yeah.
So
To fully go
changing
from Greece
everything
to
in the pit
Columbus.
here, everything out, everything in
It
an
takes
hour.
and there's about sort of 8 of us milling around at that point, probably.
That's
But
pretty
it
good.
is,
She's also very temperamental.
she is very
So we speak nicely about her. Because sometimes she doesn't want to go. But, touch wood,
Yeah.
touch the ship, she will, she's fine. We've had, you have the odd auditions, but generally it's pretty good.
Fun fact about the ship, she's only 3 feet shorter than the Nina, which is the ship that
For
Columbus
real?
sailed on. So
And it's the same design, basically, as
it's
those.
cool. I do like that.
Any questions about the ship or about the set before we move on?
I have a question. Audition. Is it hard to go through the audition for the certain shows?
Yes, just as any show, really. They hold auditions in Chicago, LA, New York, and London. Sometimes not in all of those places, but always New York and London. For this year's, I know for this year's, for this cast that's just upcoming, that's going to be taking over from us in July, they had hundreds of applicants. I think they had about 3,000 in New York, and they were queuing up at Pearl Studios at stupid o'clock in the morning for auditioning, and likewise in London. So it is quite a competitive. It's very competitive, yeah. And then they have to cut them down until it gets to a point that they call you back for specific parts. So yes, it's pretty competitive, just as with any shows, because the desire for these jobs is quite high now, because we're working with really
First-rate stuff.
yeah, great creatives, industry standing directors and choreographers and staff and talent they're attracting now. So yeah, it's pretty tough sometimes.
It's a pretty good thing to have on your resume.
Absolutely, yeah. Our director of Greece is Tony Edge, is a veteran of Broadway and and the West End. He's directed for 20 years. He's been directing shows, and I think he's done about 16 odd Broadway and West End shows, along with a choreographer who's the choreographer of Hairspray in New York and America and stuff. So, and also the writer of this. This is a bespoke show created for Royal Caribbean.
For Harmony of the Seas.
For Harmony of the Seas. There's nowhere else in the
Not on
world.
any
And
other
the writer of it has worked with Tony Award winners. You know, they've got some cracking people involved. It really is something.
And do you have a question? Sorry.
I did. I notice how much you can feel the ship move when you're actually standing on the stage. Is there an adjustment period for the performers to get used to the moving ship? No?
Have you had any? No, it's the same as you would get. Once we're on the ship, you just have to kind of get
It's
used
slightly worse because we're at the front.
to it. Yeah.
So you're not in the. You feel it less in the middle. Like if you're in Studio B, you don't really notice it as much.
Probably next to juggler the most.
Yeah.
Honestly, after a period of time, you don't really notice it anymore. Some people now start saying to me, "Oh, it's rocky today." I'm like, "Is it? I forgot I'm on a ship."
But when you're on the stage performing, the first couple of times do you notice it and it affects
No,
you?
only if it's very rocky. Again, touch wood, we haven't really had very rocky seas, but having said that, where we're sailing in the Caribbean mainly, you don't tend to get it unless, there's going to be hurricanes and stuff. But, if it's a transatlantic crossing or the Bay of Biscay, then you're going to feel it. But here, we're okay.
The high wire or the aerobatics
Yes.
that we see. Do you all do that, or do you do that? Well, you do.
Yeah, not all of the cast do. It depends on your track. Also, we did have one of the girls who was going to be coming down. Well, if you cover your lights, you can see there's a flying machine up there. But either side, there's two tracks that come down. We use them in Columbus tonight as well as Greece. There are only certain people who use them, and one girl was going to be doing that, but she never really made it. She did it once and she burst into tears, and then we tried to. We obviously, you have to ease people into it, and usually you start here and then take them up a bit and say how you doing, and take them up a bit and say how you doing, and we didn't get a
Quite up
shoot
that
in
high.
there, so we had to change the track around because she was petrified. And it is. Don't get me wrong. I was. When you first get up there, you go. Woohoo!
Yeah. Am I doing this?
Yeah. It's not pleasant, but you get used to it.
You have riggers that hook you up,
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah,
Do you do that?
there's
Do
a
you
lot. We're not ourselves. There's
Separate team of
different
riggers.
team that do that. But Columbus is a lot more technical than Greece, so there's a lot more flying.
Oh, really?
We have
a
flying
lot more.
sharks.
I don't remember.
Fly shark.
Hey, they pay for an inside tour. It's okay. You can get some secrets.
Yeah, so there's a lot more people required to do Columbus than Greece.
Oh, really?
Backstage.
5
Did
techs
that.
there's 5 of us in Greece and 3 riggers, and in Columbus it's 8
of
techs
us
and
and
5
5
riggers.
It's a much more technical show.
Just, the ship itself takes 2 people to
Oh,
operate.
yeah. That's huge.
One of which is me.
So
When is the show changed? Like say, you go from Chicago to Mamma Mia or whatever. You
Oh,
change
how
it to
often?
how the
Yeah.
how often?
On the ship.
Because I'm really waiting for that Chicago
So
show to come back.
they-
I really
yeah,
do.
the
I
contract
really
ran up
loved
on
it.
Chicago, so they signed a contract to have the show for a certain amount of time, and then with the the producers, the owners of the rights.
Yeah.
I believe they've got Greece for at least 5 years.
It's 5 years,
Five
what I
years.
believe,
About
with
5
Greece.
years.
I'm assuming because Columbus was built for this ship, it'll probably be here for quite a while as well.
Good.
Yeah, they're going to get the money's worth out of that ship.
Yeah.
And it's cost of millions, I believe.
I mean, Greece show is amazing. That was a really
Absolutely.
good, absolutely amazing
Thank you very
show.
much.
But I do love Chicago, and I keep watching this. Oh
A little
no.
birdie told me
It's
Chicago
got
may be
changed.
coming back, but from what I gather, the people who own the rights to Chicago are a bit of a nightmare to work with. So yeah, they have to jump through hoops. But it might be coming back. There's word that it might be coming back because it was very well loved by a lot of the audiences, and it's a great show.
Yes.
But
it is.
our dance captain, who's in this, was in Chicago. She plays Cha-Cha de Gregorio.
Oh,
So she was in
Yeah.
Chicago. Should we take you around the stage and show you bits and bobs? Yeah, this way.
Go to the wing and then I'll just move back.
Do you want to do the stage? Just a part. on the stage and then go back to the stage? Yeah, let's have a wander around.
How long are you?
So we show you the wing.
7 months.
So like, if you wanted to
You
keep
walk
going,
in.
can you? Or do you
We have to take vacation time,
Obviously,
but
there's
like
the angels hanging up, the teen angel bits and bobs. Yeah, that's. They've swapped that out for another set piece now. So that's been swapped for, that would obviously in Greece be back up there, but they've changed it around for a different set piece because that'll be in the middle.
What if you use very safely, aren't you? Nothing quick.
Yeah, it's you can see, right in the middle. There's a little clip, and I wear a belt, and that's the only thing that clips me in, like a belt around my waist that clips in at the back. And then once I'm clipped in, they tap my leg to let me know that I've clipped in and I'm safe, and then they can fly me. Because I'm the one that kind of unhooks myself, but it's literally a belt just in the centre of my back that clips in. So, yeah, a bit nerve-wracking, but there you go. And let's scoot around the back of the...
We've had people do this, so I'm going to put my hand here.
That's right.
Miami, and then here.
Yeah, so they overlap on the ship itself by 1 month. So when they get on board, they'll be in what they call ECC cabins. They'll be in changeover cabins that they use for those decoration. Where they'll be staying. We'll be in our own cabins that we are in for 9 months, and then once we're done with that, they'll go into our cabins and we'll move out of there. Swap over cabins. You can see the Greece car is charging at the moment because it needs to be charged. Its electric battery needs to be charged, as does the driving car where Sandy and Danny get it on. We've got our bleachers tucked away there at the back as well, and a lot of the Greece stuff is obviously packed away at the moment back here, awaiting its next show.
You said the orchestra is usually in the back?
Here.
Up there?
Yeah, so the brass down here,
Okay.
brass kind of underneath here.
How many pieces of brass?
We've got a 9-piece band. So you've got 2 trumpets, a trombone, 2 saxophones, drums, bass, guitar, piano, which are up there.
As far as selective piece goes, like when directors are casting people, do they look at which college you went to, or do they
No.
just judge talent?
No, talent. I mean, it's all on your audition, basically. Of course, it does help if they can see that you've got experience and things like that. But ultimately, you know, a number of people sent in for their initial auditions taped self-tapes, and if they see a good self-tape, they'll get you in for an audition. And ultimately, what then counts is if they give you the material for Frenchie, Rizzo, Sandy, and you do it better than anyone else, then yeah, it's great. It doesn't matter where you've been, as long as they can see that you've got the talent. It depends, obviously. If you know, open auditions are different to having an agent audition. My agent got me seen as for a private audition, but it's good to have an agent because then I didn't have to do the open rounds. But then that's because I'm a bit older than the rest of the cast, and I've got a CV behind me, which means I can get my agent to come and give me so that makes it slightly easier, because open auditions, of course, you have to go for a dance call with many people, and it can be tough. Any questions about back here in the dark?
Do you have when you're performing? Do you have any lights that we don't see out on the audience? But I mean,
usually these blue lights are the ones you can see, but because they don't tend to bleed out into the audience as much. So working lights, once the actual house lights are down, will only be about this bright. Because it can't be that bright, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Really backstage. Let's take you over to the other side and then round the back. Just up there you can see there's a little perch. This is where our production manager calls the shots. There's a lot of cameras on stage and backstage letting him know what's going on. So this is where he can call all the shots from his desk that looks like Darth Vader's bathroom.
It's also automation, which is right set for the ship. That's also right set as well.
So, obviously we've got the other wings here. There's usually things like this lovely boat floating around, being tied up there as well. And lots of things get tied up in between shows and hung from above your heads. So they're all been brought down for today's show. We've already had a technical rehearsal Columbus this morning at 10 o'clock. We have to do a technical rehearsal of Columbus every week because it is so technically involved. We need to know if anything's going wrong with the set, with the ship and everything like that. And also it keeps everyone on their toes, us and the technical team as well. So yeah, we have to do a rehearsal of that every week. Right, I'm going to walk you through backstage and take you through one of the dressing rooms. Take you through the girls' dressing room and then the boys' dressing room as well. The sound desk over as well. They look after all of our microphones as we go around. The stuff you hear.
Jessica. Jess.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through into the girls' dressing room. This is the pink ladies' dressing room. And you'll see obviously there's costumes and the wigs there. We'll walk through that one and then walk through the other one, which is the T-Birds dressing room and my dressing room. And you're the kind of featured parts dressing room. You see all and where we all are for our various. Marty, there she is. There's a lot of pink, basically. A lot of pink, a lot of wigs.
How about when injuries, when somebody gets hurt doing athletics?
It happens, yeah, it does happen a fair amount. We just have to
cover.
We have to. But everyone's got covers. We had a cover on Greece yesterday. So you know, basically the ensemble members cover.
Yeah, they pick a person or.
Yeah, they get auditioned as well when we're in Miami. They get auditioned for the various different parts. So let's carry on walking through. There we go. Let's go walk through. Obviously you can see all the different kind of Vince Fontaine's lurking here as well. This is my little spot where Vince lives and Teen Angel. Please do walk through. So you're going into the pink ladies' dressing room and then walk through. You see a lot of pink because it's the pink ladies. And then if you follow it through, you'll come into the T-Birds dressing room. We'll have our washing rotations as well. All the costumes have to be washed on a daily basis because obviously we're wearing them on a daily basis. So they all get hung up and redone. We have a wardrobe department who washes all of the shirts and the t-shirts and all of the undergarments and everything that has to be washed. It's all looked after. It's a very, very busy job, obviously, because there's an awful lot of things to be washed. These are all Grease costumes at the moment, so that's on rotation for there.
Over there it said vodka wash.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll when we all get through to the thing, I'll tell you what that means. You see, this is another dressing room, but it's also the laundry room. So this is where a lot of the things, this is where we do have the costumes are all washed in here. So that you can see, and the T-Birds jackets are all been washed and turned inside out and everything.
Let's get pretty busy in these halls.
No, it's not too bad actually.
Really? You have enough
because,
room?
you know, we know where everyone is. Everyone's in their own dressing room, so it's fine. You know, you get used to it. Yeah, please, feel free to hop into the wardrobe, see what it's all like in there, because that's where all of the costumes get, and the wigs get washed, and the costumes get washed and changed. Props table waiting out for us.
So this is the fourth cast for Greece. This is the fifth. Okay.
This is cast number 5. Yes.
Cast number 5.
And this year.
Anti-clockwise.
Do they have like a machine shop anywhere? Or a fabricate thing? If something breaks on the ship? Or
Yeah, down in the valve. We've got maintenance.
more like they would do that.
Yeah, so if there's anything, obviously the technical staff are going to be the ones to the initial go-to because they understand what's happening on stage and the technical side of our set more than anybody. But should things like the ship, like technical motor things and things like that, they will get the engineers involved from maintenance and things like that to come and help, which we have had to, because you open up the bowels of this and it's got big old chains and cogs and all sorts of things going on in there. So it's a very involved, this set. Hydraulics and things like that, the pit maintenance is going to be working on that because obviously that's their kind of department to kind of get their head around.
Yeah, I think there's some that pop out in the show tonight.
Yeah. Or, if you're not the ships unless you want to be
Yeah, we did have someone break her toe a couple of months ago. We all have to wear no open-toed shoes during rehearsals or on the stage because you've got to be careful. But ultimately, she broke her toe because she was doing ballet rehearsal and went black against the side of the stage. So that wasn't fun. She went off for 6 weeks. So
How many understudies are around?
we have understudies for all of the parts,
Okay.
but they're all taken from the ensemble. So they audition for the various different parts back in Bay Vista. If they're going to cover somebody, we've got people who cover them. Of course, unfortunately, we don't have swings like they do in Broadway or the West End. Swings are there to cover the ensemble parts. There would usually be 3 females, at least three girls and 3 guys. Swings to cover the ensemble parts should the ensemble be on holiday or ill. We don't have that, so we just have a cut show. You wouldn't really notice it too much. We've got a great dance captain, so she rejigs things around. Obviously, if there's more than like 4 or 5 people off, you're going to start noticing it, which, again, touchily, we haven't had yet. People were asking about what vodka wash means. We basically just, soak their clothes in vodka and then we smell great. No, they did, so exactly, basically, what you mix vodka with water and spray it under the arms. You can do this at home, a little home tip. Basically you spray it on the underarms, you spray it on any bits that have been in contact with sweat, and it neutralises the sweat, neutralises the others, neutralises sweat. Basically keeps the costumes a lot fresher than they would be if we didn't do that. So we do that on a daily basis. We do that ourselves. Spray any bits that have, we've sweated into, and then they'll be washed as well. But it really does help because, of course, you've got to maintain these costumes. The costume that Christopher Columbus is wearing tonight, it cost $10,000. And Shirley as well is the most expensive costume at the studio. The Shirley dress, she wears it for like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the most expensive, most complicated costume to make in the entire show. It was like something like $12,000.
We have a big ship that weighs 5 tons.
Yeah.
Go on.
And she wears it for that because the guy who designed the costumes for this and for 1887 is a Tony Award-winning costume designer guy. So you can imagine they want to maintain, these costumes because they're big, heavy, expensive costumes. So we've got to look after them. Any other questions?
Did you guys get a chance to practice?
With the ship, yes, we can have dry tech runs, which means the actors aren't here. So we just had a handover. So one of our stage staff left. So what we did was we just rotated the ship because there's a secret kind of compartment in the ship that opens and closes, and we had to practice the locking mechanism. So we just rotated the ship a load of times to practice that, and then we have tech runs with them as well. But again, if we need any practice, we can just bring ourselves in and just practice any part we want, really. So that's the main. We have a couple of dry runs every once in a while. So
About how many hours a week do you work? Just gut feel.
4.8 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Sometimes you do 10 to 12, sometimes you do
less than that. So that is kind of.
And it depends on who the headliners are as well, because when we don't have these shows are always in the schedule as they are.
Yeah.
But then there's 2 days where you have the headliner act, and they can be a juggler or they can be a
Full-size band.
if it's a comedian, then you're lucky because you just have to set a glass of water and a stool and you're happy. Hallelujah.
the
There's
band,
a lot of
the band
bands.
will have to get the grand piano out, set
Yeah,
set up a full drum kit on the lifts I was saying at the back, and then do a rehearsal with the band. So that takes another sort of couple of hours. So yeah, it depends.
And the lights, are they all programmed for the shows, or do you have, so they are?
They are programmed, but they are also looked after manually by Clyde and that big box at the back.
The one at the top back there, and then the sound booth is just down there with our Louis.
Louis there at the
Not paying
moment.
attention at all. Yeah. I feel like he's probably listening to Columbus because he's running it next week. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yes, he's running Columbus next week. Well, the tech. He's on the tech. I feel like that's he's practicing.
Do you ladies do tech stuff anywhere else like Aqua Theater, or you just
We know the deck track, so we can learn in other places, but we specifically only do the deck track because if you're actually underwater, you need to be highly certified. But we do like spotlights in the ice in Studio B and stuff like that. But
When I came on the ship, I started in Studio B, so I know 1887 on ice skate. So if I need to go over there, if I need sort of help, we're kind of around. But then we do, as stage staff, all the stage staff set up all the bands and things. So any band you see on the promenade, up on the pool decks, any of those sort of things, we're all setting them up as well. So sometimes it's a little bit running place to place. It can be a bit hectic. All of us. It's only about 12.
Or just flat. It's probably 12 hours a day on here.
Do you get free time? Do you get to go over and record and
Yeah.
yes, so
If shifts allow and
we got off in San
things
Juan
like that,
today.
sometimes we don't go about an hour or something. We got off yesterday.
We got off yesterday in San Juan. So
I mean, once this is set up for the day, we have to do this. We have to set this up for the tech run in the morning. So once it's set up, the stage is set up for the show tonight. So that's nice because we can have the day off or go up and go ashore.
Now, will this be set for several days or just one day and then?
Just today and tomorrow.
Yeah, till tomorrow. So after the show tomorrow night, we'll swap it back to Greece,
Then we've got a matinee of Greece on
and then
day
Greece
7.
is on day 7 in the afternoon. So we have to get ready for Greece. Swap it back. So then Greece runs into the next cruise, and we do 7, 1, 2, 3 of Greece, and then swap it back to Columbus. 3 shows Columbus, swap it back to it becomes like routine.
How much of the cast is duplicated between Columbus and Greece that you said you
The entire cast.
Everybody.
Everyone that's in Greece is in Columbus. Everyone. So they have to double cast. Obviously, that's a bit more difficult because they have to decide the characters who play Roger and Jan in Greece always